Hello, and welcome to part 1 of Minor Egyptian Deities and Where to Find Them. Today I would like to introduce you to 3 minor but very interesting underworld deities from the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. The depiction that we'll be referencing was commissioned over 3,200 years ago for someone very dear to the great king Ramesses II. With the approval of the pharaoh, artisans first drew out the shapes and then painted this trio on the western wall of Nefertari Meditmut's tomb, QV66. We will look into who they are, what tale they tell, and why they are here in the depths of Nefertari's tomb. To do that properly, we first have to take a small step back and look at the afterlife like the ancient Egyptians did. For the ancient ones, it was widely understood what happens after we breathe out our last breath. First, our life force, or Ka, separates itself from the body and journeys towards the west. There we would then enter the underworld, the Duat, to be judged within the halls of Osiris, king of the dead. If we lived our lives in accordance with Ma'at, that is to say, if we lived morally good and obedient lives, then this will not be a problem for us. But if we committed acts of greed, dishonesty, and performed other sins, then our hearts will be devoured and our souls denied the joys and the tranquility of the afterlife. Being denied the afterlife and to be condemned to a non-existence was the worst imaginable fate to the ancients. The court of Osiris, the weighing of one's heart, and the concept of Ma'at make for very, very fascinating stories. But these will have to be told at another time. For now, we must move on, deeper into the Duat, in order to meet our protagonists of today. As we proceed down into the Egyptian underworld, we will come to understand that the Duat is a very, very large realm. And while Osiris reigns supreme, there are many perils and enemies to be found within it. It is a long and dangerous journey to Aaru, the tranquil field of reeds or paradise. Because of the dangers, and because not just anyone can be allowed in, clever Osiris has instituted several safety procedures. These take the shape of gates and guardians. It is they who serve eternally to deny the uninitiated and to punish any interlopers. The actual number of gates differs from text to text. In some funerary sources there exist 7 such gates, while others describe there being as many as 21. So why the discrepancy? It could be because some of these texts are dated very far apart from one another, sometimes by thousands of years. Within Nefertari's tomb there are 5 gates depicted, through which her and our spirit must travel. It is at the 2nd gate that we will finally make our acquaintance. We arrive at this gate, shown here in its bright and bold colors, and directly next to the gate stands its keeper. He is enormous, grasping a tall palm branch and a sharp knife in his hands. When depicted in the underworld, a palm branch often symbolizes time, often in the way of a long life or a long reign. His name is un-hat-sen, he who opens foreheads, and judging from that name, we can easily imagine what fate awaits those that try and sneak past him. His most striking feature is of course his head, which takes the form of a ram. While the skin of his arms and legs is a lively tan, the fur of un-hat-sen's face is rendered in a distinct green. This is not uncommon for underworld deities. Right beside the gatekeeper stands the guardian, a warrior goddess with the head of a lioness. 2 serpents peek up from the top of her head. They look very dynamic, as if the artist imagined them swaying back and forth, looking out for any enemies. Her name is sqd-hr, which means she whose face drives us away, sometimes mistranslated as she who turns her face. Rather, it's her frightening face which makes interlopers turn heel and flee. There do exist instances where her name is written as she who has a virtuous face. That is a far less ferocious and a more graceful title. Considering her role as a guardian, I prefer sqd-hr, she whose face drives away. If her head snakes cannot deter the enemies of Osiris, then the two knives that she holds will surely do the trick. Lastly, there is Imsus, the Burning One. He is this gate's herald, and unlike his counterparts, Imsus is a pretty chill dude. He's the one who announces our arrival once the three of them give us the okay. He has a human face, but sports a awesome goatee, and his grooming routine probably takes some time. He is depicted without any weapons. Instead, Imsus holds two ankhs. The ankh represents the concept of life. In the hands of a deity, it usually indicates them as being a life giver within the underworld. While his two colleagues can take life away with a slash of a knife or the bite of a head snake, Imsus can instead give life. All three gate deities wear neat black wigs. No wigs for the snakes. Each deity is also decorated with a typical ornamental color, called a wasek. A quality wasek used to be made out of gold, silver and precious stones, but shells, wood and polished bone provide affordable alternatives as well. If these colors are any indication, then these wasek may consist of turquoise, lapis and carnelian, but only the original artists and their overseers may know for certain, so your guess is as good as mine. They also wear some neat outfits, truly the height of underworld fashion. The two male deities, un-hat-sen and Imsus, are dressed in linen kilts called shantites. sqd-hr, being the lady that she is, wears a sheath dress called a qd-hra. Women's clothing in ancient Egypt was a bit more conservative than men's clothing, and it does apply to the underworld fashion as well. Now we know a little bit more about the dynamic trio. We know their names, why they stand guard, and what their individual roles entail. But how do we, or Nefertari, get past them on our journey through the duat? The answer is revealed in the sacred carvings right next to them. These hieroglyphics tell us the following. Gate 2. The name of the doorkeeper is He Who Opens Foreheads. The name of the guardian is She Whose Face Drives Away. And the name of the herald is the Burning One. This is very straightforward. The hieroglyphics introduce them by name and by role. As the text goes on, it proceeds from the perspective of Nefertari herself. She is quoted to say, "Do not be weary when the dead present the mundane secrets in their years in truth. It is the Osiris, the king's great wife, mistress of the two lands, Nefertari, beloved of Mut, justified before Osiris, who removes the difficulty in a moment, who prepares this way with a flame against the offender of the Osiris, the king's great wife, mistress of the two lands, Nefertari, beloved of Mut, justified. I have prepared a way. May you let me pass. May I always see that Ra surrounds them who have prepared offerings for the Osiris, the king's great wife, mistress of the two lands, Nefertari, beloved of Mut, justified." That sounded a bit more cryptic. In essence, Nefertari arrives at this gate, but she is confident in the fact that she knows this guardian trio by name, and knowing their ancient names gives her power. She reassures the gate guardians that it's alright for the dead to reveal us their secrets. It's okay. They should let her pass, for she is the pharaoh's great wife, the mistress of both the lands of Egypt, Nefertari, beloved of the god Mut, her titles, etc., etc. She is prepared for this trip through the duat, and she can stand her own. Thank you very much. Lastly, there is some queenly diplomacy. If they let her pass, then she will make sure that those who provide her support will bask in Ra's life-giving sunlight. Now, it is hard to say if Nefertari can back her promise of providing them with Ra's light, but we have to take that at face value. Having heard and accepted Nefertari's words, the guardians allow her to proceed. The herald, the burning one, calls out her name for all to hear. She may proceed onwards towards paradise. If we one day wish to follow in Nefertari's footsteps, then we should do well to memorize their names. If we do, and proclaim our titles and make our reassurances, then these three will not turn us away. Thank you for watching. A special thank you to our supporters: Pepper Ray, Nemeke, Spacebug, Hales, Neu, and Fashra. Thank you very much.